What's up, everyone? Welcome to RotoGrinders MLB Crunch Time. I am your host today, TJ Zwarich. No weather today, thankfully, so I don't have to do my best Kevin Roth impression. We can just break down the MLB slate, and to help me do it, I'm joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. First up, my guy, John Breslin, Squirrel Patrol. How you doing, Squirrel?
Yeah, a little slate here, 4 games, but still slate, so we're here to talk about it.
I don't know if anybody on the show watches Parks and Recreation, but I'm in the middle of my rewatch right now, and that just sounded exactly like Perd Hapley. This is a MLB slate, and we are going to be covering it. Helping us do that as well, Taylor Smith. How you doing, Taylor?
Good. That's probably the best way to describe it. It is a slate. If you're playing a late August 4-game slate, you're a true grinder. So happy to be here with everyone that's going through it together with us.
Someone in chat saying, "Yo, my tournament starts in 30 minutes." Yes, they all do. The main slate locks today at 6:40 Eastern time. So we got an early slate lock, only 4 games though. Before we dive into it, there it is. There's Perd Hapley. Before we dive into it, go ahead and get ahead of the competition with RotoGrinders Premium. NFL Premium for the season is now available. Non-premium users can get over $100 off for their NFL Premium subscription. All you have to do is click the link through the banner on RotoGrinders. You can also get yourself a 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. That's a savings of $250 instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium. If you're not a fan of commitment, you can get a month of RotoGrinders Premium for $120. Here it is, the toughest sentence in all of the history of line reads, and I'm going to nail it. Those that want to test run before buying can dip their toes in the water with our 3-day pass in $19.99. Check the links in our description for more info. Nailed it. Squirrel, why don't you give us a little breakdown of this 4-game slate we got?
Yeah, so 4 games. There's nothing that's like really distinctive on the slate, to be totally honest. Things are pretty bunched together. The home team is favored in every single one of the games. The pitchers have like similar K rates. Like there's really just not a lot that is like that's super distinctive. I kind of like the Dodgers the best, like that. They have the highest implied run total, but they do have, the lineup just came out and it's missing some pieces, specifically Max Muncy and Will Smith. I don't know. Obviously, that puts them out of play. I don't know that it really hurts the other guys in the lineup that much. I think the Baltimore pitcher Povich is like by far the weak link of the pitching slate. That makes the Dodgers the best offense, but they are also very expensive on DraftKings in particular. So it's just a question of whether or not they're going to pay off their price. I'm leaning more towards try to get the Dodgers in my lineup and pair them, maybe with some one-offs that are a little lower owned or cheap, and kind of call it a day. But yeah, I don't know. Here to get other perspectives as well.
All right, well, let's start getting into it. People want the Spidey bombs. I'll drop the first one at 25 likes. I'll drop a second at 50. See where we go from there. So make sure you're smashing the like button. Taylor, what are you doing today at pitcher? Take us through the ideal cash game build on both sites and then how you would pivot in tournaments.
Yeah, so it's not a very clear picture at pitcher or really anywhere once you get past the Dodgers on offense, but I think the popular SP1 is going to be Hunter Brown against Kansas City. It's a bad matchup, but I think you can make the case that everyone has a bad matchup today, so it's not glaring that he's in a rough spot. They're at home, which in theory might help. He's probably also the best pitcher on the board in terms of skills, so he's probably your SP1. He's also under 9K on DK, which is helpful. The SP2 in cash is probably Christopher Sanchez against Atlanta, just for the savings. He's only 6,900. And Atlanta's a little watered down with the injuries they have. He's decent enough, good ground ball guy. Generally long leash, so I'm okay with that. But you can make a case for pretty much everyone else on the slate in tournaments. Bowden Francis is kind of the wild card of the slate, I think. I'm interested in TJ's thoughts as a Blue Jays fan, but He's been incredibly good for quite a while now, at least the last 4 starts in particular. But matchup against Boston on the road is a tough one. They do have some strikeouts in the lineup. He's also relatively cheap, but everyone is on this slate, so that's not really a tiebreaker in his favor. And in tournaments, I think Charlie Morton, Cutter Crawford, and to a lesser extent, Brady Singer are playable. The cash game pairing is pretty clearly Brown and Sanchez. And after that, I'm kind of mixing and matching everybody else on the slate, except for Cade Povich. That's the one guy that's probably not cracking the player pool for me.
I decided to the lines that I drew are fairly blurry. I do think basically any pitcher could get there on this slate, probably outside of Povich, but I'm going with just Hunter Brown, Bowden Francis, Bobby Miller, and Christopher Sanchez as the only 4 pitchers in my pool today, loading up with Francis and Brown and then the cheapies. And I'm loading up in as many Dodgers as I can as well. But Francis, I think I really like just do that strikeout upside. It is somewhat concerning that he's like 10% higher strikeout rate to righties than lefties. And I was initially super worried about that. But then seeing this Boston lineup, it got me a little bit less worried because there's no Rafael Devers. I'm looking at the weather and I see that it's pretty cold there and the wind's blowing in. We got Gasper batting second in this lineup. It's not like there's a ton of righties, but in terms of a Boston lineup, it's one of the weaker ones we could get. So Francis is one of my 4 pitchers in my GPP pool today. What are you doing in Tournament Squirrel?
Yeah, I really like a guy that hasn't been mentioned yet, Bobby Miller.
That's one of my 4. I just mentioned him.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, I thought okay. Then yeah, I like Bobby Miller, especially at like the projected ownership that we're showing. Like, what is the difference between Bobby Miller and Christopher Sanchez? I don't why is Christopher Sanchez getting like 44% projected ownership? Bobby Miller is getting 14. They have similar projections, $200 price difference. I believe Miller's even cheaper on FanDuel, although that's like a mini slate over there. I don't know. I like the idea of going way over the field on Bobby Miller at this projected ownership. I don't know that like Hunter Brown particularly stands out for me. I don't know if I want to like roster him at 45%. I'd rather just increase this like Bobby Miller amount, like maybe increase the Cutter Crawford amount a little bit. And I think that there's some leverage to be had, really, again, playing some Atlanta against Christopher Sanchez. Like, I won't go crazy with it, but Sanchez doesn't allow home runs, and that's that hurts the offense maybe a little bit. But he doesn't like get points for not allowing home runs. So I mean, like he doesn't avoid, he avoids the negative of earned runs. But yeah, I don't know. I like Bobby Miller as the guy I'm going to be most over the field on at these projected ownerships.
I like it. All right. Well, let's pivot to the stacks. Let me check how many likes we got here. Quick. We are at 44, already close to Spidey Bomb number 2. I'll drop the third, at 75 likes. So make sure you keep smashing that like button. The first one, my guy for the Blue Jays, plus 525 today, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Spidey Bomb number 1. I bet on him to hit a home run, and I love the plus 525 odds you can get on him. Anything basically over plus 450, I would like quite a bit for Vlad today. Squirrel, keeping it with you. What are you doing for stacks?
So I think the Dodgers are the clear top stack. I don't, I think it's still fine to play them, even though the lineup is a little bit watered down with no Will Smith. I think Austin Barnes is off the injured list or something. So. Yeah, I think the Dodgers are number 1. I think the Phillies are number 2, actually, against Charlie Morton. Good hitting ballpark. I kind of like Atlanta. Maybe it's number 3 going against Christopher Sanchez. I think Boston is very much in play. And then, that's 4 out of the 8 teams. I'd probably go to Baltimore after that against Bobby Miller, who I just talked about.
One thing I want to get your takes on stacks as well, Taylor. I know Squirrel probably likes Bobby Miller, where he is the second cheapest pitcher on the slate on FanDuel quite a bit at 7,300. Who would be your top tournament pitcher over on FanDuel, where Hunter Brown is quite expensive, Bowden Francis is even more expensive, but then we got Sanchez, Crawford, Miller as some cheap options?
I think I'd probably go Bobby Miller there, just because he is cheaper than everybody else except for Povich. But again, it's like I don't really have a lot of conviction because everyone else projects pretty similarly, and the prices aren't bad. But I think I would just take the savings on Miller, though. I don't think he's going to be super popular over there.
Still only projecting for 5% ownership over there, so that's really nice with that cheap price tag. Who do you like for stacks today, Taylor?
Yeah, so Dodgers being the obvious one. I'm not really getting to the Fenway game. I'm kind of more playing the pitching in that one. Do think everyone's stackable, though, of course. Hunter Brown being the presumed SP1 in terms of ownership. It's going to put Kansas City in play, obviously, on such a small slate. Going against that ownership with them. It's also a good offense in general, so it's not like it's something you're sad to get to. The highest on stack I have is Baltimore right now. Good part for them. Bobby Miller's been really erratic also. I think he's good overall. I think in the last start he kind of came around a bit, but pretty volatile. And on a short slate like this, I'm willing to embrace the volatility, and it's a good offense. So Baltimore, I think, is going to be a little bit under-owned for the spot, and they're the team I'm getting to the most.
All right, another good place to check for stacks today is the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs known as SimLabs, and it just got even better. In addition to the desktop tool on the web, you can now download the SimLabs mobile app from your app store and use the power of DFS simulations in the palm of your hand. Available to combo and single sport subs, or you can buy it a la carte in the app store. Check it out today. A link is also right down there in the description just below us. Taylor, why don't you start us off at the catcher position? Who are you playing today at catcher? Any favorites, or basically just this is a stacking position?
It's probably just stacking for the most part. It would have been Will Smith, but not in the lineup, so that kind of sucks, but makes things cheaper overall. Austin Barnes, I think, will be maybe your cash game guy at the position as a punt. Otherwise, it's probably stacks. We do have some good ones. Obviously, Real Muto. Really, every team has a pretty good hitting catcher on this slate, so it's probably just depending on what stack you're going with. I mentioned Baltimore being my top stack. Adley Rutschman, I don't think we have their lineup yet, but I'm assuming he'll be in it. Sal Perez, you can play him at first or catcher. I think it makes more sense probably to play him at catcher tonight. And Travis d'Arnaud, I'm getting to Atlanta quite a bit against Sanchez, and d'Arnaud fits pretty easily.
All right, Squirrel, how about you? Who are you liking today at catcher? We also do got Spuddy Bum number 2 ready to go. He's plus 400 across the board, basically wherever you look. Mookie Betts, Spuddy Bum number 2. We got something a little bit sneakier as we go. Third one, it's 75 likes. We can even get a fourth if we get all the way up to 100 likes. So keep smashing that like button. After we get position by position done, we'll take some QQs from the live stream chat and on the RotoGrinders Discord, as well as the YouTube chat. So make sure you're smashing that like button. Plus $400 for Mookie Betts, and plus 525 for Vi Guerrero, the first one. Squirrel, who do you like today, catcher?
Yeah, I think like Danny Jansen is my best, my top catcher. He's only 3,300. It's a pretty good cost savings. After that, I think maybe Austin Barnes. It's not a good day for catcher, but Barnes is 2,200, and I think he's better than Brian
Servin.
So yeah, my top 2 catchers are probably like Danny Jansen, and then for the value, Austin Barnes.
All right, take us over to first base.
So at first base, a little bit better because we have Shohei Ohtani on DraftKings. So yeah, I like Ohtani. I think he's one of the top hitters on the slate, if not the top hitter on the slate. And I think Bryce Harper is probably right after Shohei Ohtani. I think for savings, if you're looking for some value, Enrique here, Kiki Hernandez is only 2,800. He's at the 6th spot in the lineup. And then, although I don't necessarily want to be like over the field because I think Houston's going to be a little bit popular, but John Singleton is only 2,700. He's got an advantage against Brady Singer.
All right, Taylor, how about you? Who do you like at first?
Yeah, I love the Ohtani call, obviously. Otherwise, Vinny Pasquantino, I have quite a bit as a leverage play against Hunter Brown. Matt Olson, even lefty-lefty against Sanchez. He's been good in terms of power, same-handed against same-handed pitching over the years, so I'm fine with that. Ryan O'Hearn is the cheapie I'm getting to the most, assuming he cracks the Baltimore lineup. And I think first base makes more sense for him. And I don't mind Tristan Casas. Francis has been a bit weaker against lefties. He's one of the better hitting power lefties for Boston, so I think he looks decent enough.
3 likes away from the third Spidey Bomb. Smash the like button. He's a third baseman, so hopefully we can get it by the time we get to third. Taylor, take me to second.
Yeah, on DK, we have Mickey Gasper, who I've never heard of until like 10 minutes ago in the Boston lineup. Hitting second, 2K flat. I think he's actually catching, but on DK, you can play him at second. He is who I have the most. I have a ton of him, actually. He's a switch hitter, so platoon edge against Bowden Francis. Whit Merrifield, another cheapie for Atlanta, I think looks okay. Platoon advantage against Sanchez. It's a pretty gross position. I don't have a ton of Altuve. Bryson Stott's gotten cheap, but don't love it. And then for savings, I think Jackson Holiday is also perfectly fine.
How much Gasper do you have? I want to know who has more.
59.3%.
Whoa, you got a lot more. I'm only at 30. Squirrel, who do you like today at second?
Yeah, 14% Gasper as of right now. Although I'm getting like way too much Chris Taylor. So and I don't like that because there's a good chance he's going to get pinch hit for. But yeah, so I think I've got a lot of Chris Taylor as in terms of a value play. In terms of like top projection, it's pretty close between Michael Massey, Jose Altuve, or Whit Merrifield. I do think that like Merrifield should be in play leading off on the road against like jockey pitcher with an advantage, but he's also with Merrifield in the year 2024. So I wouldn't go crazy. Not a great position, not that much better than catcher.
All right, well, you can take us to third base, but first it is time for my favorite third baseman and Spidey Bomb number 3, plus 775 today, batting 5th for the Blue Jays, Addison Barger as the third Spidey Bomb. He's been hitting the ball really well. He's in a great spot in the lineup. Addison Barger, Spidey Bomb number 3. We got one more if we get up to 100 likes, so keep smashing the like button. Squirrel, who do you like at third?
At third, I think best projected is Vlad Guerrero. He is a little bit expensive at 5,600. I don't love the Blue Jays tonight, but he's really the only guy that stands out. Everybody else is pretty evenly projected, like Chris Taylor, Addison Barger, Kiki Hernandez, Ernie Clement. A lot of Dodgers and Blue Jays that are just really cheap. Other than Blue Jays, who have have 3 third base eligible guys. Anywho, yeah, it's not a great position, but if you can afford him, Vlad Guerrero.
All right, how about you, Taylor?
Yeah, I'm getting to Taylor here more than I am at second on DK, where you can play him at both. The guy I have the most is Paul DeYoung. He's been pretty good for Kansas City. He's having a resurgent year, so he's cheap and getting into my lineups today. Otherwise, it's probably just in stacks. Ramon Urias, assuming he's in there for Baltimore. Alec Bohm for the Phillies, and Alex Bregman probably rounds it out.
Very low owned play, batting up in the order today. Paul DeJong is somebody I like as a salary saver. Take me to shortstop.
Shortstop. There is good stuff here. Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson are the 2 I have the most of. Feel pretty good about that. If you want to go cheap, Tommy Edman, I think is hitting pretty high in the Dodger lineup. Should be pretty safe from pinch hit risk as a switch hitter, I would think. Leo Jimenez, another of those cheap Blue Jays you can look at. And Trey Turner as a pivot away from Witt and Gunnar, I think is intriguing.
Squirrel, how about you? You got Turner, Henderson, and Witt up there. How are you prioritizing the big 3?
Mostly by going to Tommy Edman. He's only 3,600. He's my highest owned shortstop. I do think, among the top 3, I do like Bobby Witt the best, even though he is the most expensive. After that, I think Trey Turner. Yeah, I don't know. I probably like Bobby Miller a little bit more than most people, and that's suppressing my Gunnar Henderson ownership. If you're, I think Edman is the top value play, probably even on the slate, but Leonardo Jimenez is much cheaper, 2,300.
Small slate. I don't even think it's crazy to play Miller and Gunnar in the same lineup today. But take us out to the outfield.
Yeah, outfield. So Shohei Ohtani, I think, is the top hitter on the slate. I think some people would maybe go for Yordan Alvarez, but I like Ohtani better. I like Betts better than Alvarez as well. Then Alvarez, then Teoscar Hernandez. I think like Jaron Duran and Tyler O'Neill are an interesting pairing if you're saving money at pitcher and you want to go. I think you can play the Red Sox instead of the Dodgers. It's a little bit different. If you're looking for value plays, MJ Melendez only 3,100, and then Tommy Edmond is also eligible in the outfield.
Taylor, how about you?
Yeah, most of the same stuff. The Orioles, of course, Santander, Kowser, Cedric Mullins I have a lot as a value play. Eloy Jimenez, I think I prefer Mullins from the left side. Schwarber, obviously, I don't think he's going to be super popular tonight against Charlie Morton. I like that quite a bit. Jaron Duran, I like that call. Yordan Alvarez, of course. The Royals, MJ Melendez is cheap. We have Jason Hayward in the Houston lineup. He's also cheap and eligible on DK, so I think he looks good. Singer's got a really wide split, so Yordan, even Ben Gamel is playable as a cheapie left-handed hitter. So Houston's going to be pretty popular, I think, but I still like the way the outfield looks for them.
All right. We did just get a Baltimore lineup. It's basically what we expected. I think the order might be slightly different. Holiday at 9th instead of 8th, but it's the exact same players in the lineup that we expected. Let's go over some home run plays. Taylor, I'll stick with you here. Who do you like to hit some bombs? And we are 20 likes away from the 4th Spidey bomb. And J3 always weirdly wants me to speak French on stream, and so I told him 125 if we want that. I don't know. I don't really need that, but if other people do, that's at 125 likes. But the 4th Spidey bomb at 100. Taylor, who you got today to hit a home run?
Let's see. I'll go off the board a bit with Jorge Soler against Christopher Sanchez. I think the obvious one was probably Yordan Alvarez, so I'll go out on that limb. And then another rando, let's say Paul Dion.
I like that one quite a bit. Squirrel, how about you?
Yeah, it's not the best day for home run props. I will go with Tyler O'Neill and actually pair him with Jaron Duran, and not that I'm trying to steal knockers from anybody, which is apparently a pair of teammates that we think are going to do well. But yeah, I'm going with some teammates in Tyler O'Neill and Jaron Duran.
I like it. I did it too today with Vlad and Barger. Let's start taking some questions. I will go to the RotoGrinders Discord first, which I admittedly forgot to have open. And so I don't actually I'm not logged into. So maybe we can go to the YouTube chat first as I figure out a way to log back into my Discord. What do we got here? Need the Dodgers to when stacking the Orioles, Taylor. How do you decide between Gunnar, Santander, and Rutschman in your stacks? Personally, I prioritize Gunnar and Santander, with Rutschman being a very distant third.
Yeah, Rutschman just doesn't have the power the others do, so I'm willing to forego him in tournaments at his salaries compared to the others. I would still prioritize Gunnar, I think, the most, just because outfield generally has more depth. So Gunnar would be number 1, Santander, and then Rutschman. All
right, I'm logged into Discord. We're ready to go. DraftKings GPP, favorite one-off, Yoshida, Abreu, or Mullins, Squirrel?
Probably Abreu. I like the Red Sox a little bit.
All right, Phillies 5-man with Trey Turner, or Phillies 5-man with Bobby Witt Jr. instead, large field DK tournament. What do you think, Taylor?
I'd probably keep Turner in the stack, just because I think Witt could still be more popular, even with Brown being the chalky pitcher. So I just run out the stack with Turner instead.
All right. What about what's Baltimore lineup? We just got it posted there in Discord. Perfect. Any Spencer Horwitz today, Squirrel? He's somebody that I like quite a bit, either at first or second.
Let's see. I've got a bit, like a single-digit amount. Like, I'm not crazy with Blue Jays today, but he's fine. It's only 3,700 and second base eligible. So, yeah, he fits. If he fits, and you've got like a stack, or you're playing another Blue Jay, even then great.
All right. What do you think about the Astros today as a stack, Taylor?
Yeah, I think they look good. More lefties than usual, which is the way you want to attack Singer. And the righties at the top at least are pretty good. So, yeah, you can make a case they're the top stack on the slate next to the Dodgers.
All right. Bryce Harper or Yordan Alvarez in cash? That's got to be Yordan Alvarez today. I think he's one of the top cash bats on the slate. Santander or Gunnar? It's a home run today. You can only pick one. Who would you take, Taylor?
I would take Gunnar.
I would take Gunnar as well. I like his odds better. And are we at 100 likes? Are we anywhere close? No, we're only at 84, but maybe hint as to who I would be going there. But I like Gunnar to hit a home run today. Not including Hunter Brown, who was the other pitcher you fellas are interested in. Squirrel and I both like Bobby Miller. Who would be your top SB2 today, Taylor?
I don't like it, but it's probably Sanchez just for the savings. But I do like the Miller call just as a pivot.
And especially on FanDuel at 7,300, we really like Miller there. DK GPPs, Francis and Miller, or Miller and Hunter Brown. So it's just Francis or Hunter Brown in a DK GPP Squirrel.
Really just depends how risky you want to get, like, and maybe how big your tournament is. I think the projected ownership, I'd go with Brown and Francis actually. So there's not much differentiation between Brown and Francis, but like Brown's probably going to come in double the ownership.
Cam the Man wondering how much Bowden Francis do I have? I'll tell you exactly how much. 48% Bowden Francis, 51% Hunter Brown, 51% Bobby Miller, 49% Christopher Sanchez. That is my entire pool of pitchers today. And I believe we have gone through all the questions. We are 2 minutes away from lock. Make sure you have your lineups in. Smash that like button. Doesn't seem like we're going to quite get to Spidey Bum number 4, but we were close. We're only 12 likes away. And if you got any last minute questions, get them in right now. But with nothing else coming in and only a 4-game slate, and us not quite hitting the like plateau for another Spidey Bomb, I think it might be time to get out of here. On behalf of myself, Squirrel, Taylor, Steve doing a wonderful job behind the scenes as per usual. Varsho or Springer? The answer is Springer. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.